This is a lecture from OpenTuition. To benefit from the lecture, you should download the free lecture notes from opentuition.com.
Okay, so hopefully you've had a practice at a couple of those share-for-share exchange style questions. The more you practice them, the easier it becomes, and it becomes straightforward marks within the exam. I know you might find it challenging now, but trust me, when you get to the exam, that's something that you need to be all over. So we've looked at the share-for-share exchange in terms of our consideration. So remember, effectively, when we're debiting that investment, that debit to the investment is what you effectively then see, isn't it? In working number 3. Okay, in terms of your goodwill calculation, isn't it? Yes, we ignore it when it goes through there and comes to the consolidation, but that is then used, isn't it, as the fair value of consideration within our goodwill calculation in working 3. The other scenarios now are looking at cash. So you probably pay cash now in terms of the acquisition, so debit the investment, credit bank. Or if you've done a share-for-share exchange, debit investment, credit share capital, credit share premium. But what happens if we have deferred cash consideration? Deferred cash is whereby you promise to make a cash payment, but it is deferred until some point in the future. Okay. So you know you will pay it, but it will be paid maybe in a year's time or 2 years' time. But you need to record it now because it will become a payment in the future. So therefore we should recognise it now. You have the obligation, don't we, to make the payment. So therefore we will recognise the assets. Recognise the asset. Recognise the liability. Pardon me. Yeah, the obligation to make the payment. So therefore we recognise the liability. We're going to debit the asset, because we have a resource, the investment that we control, we've acquired S's shares, and that will bring us probable future economic benefits. In terms of how we measure that deferred consideration, we have to record it there. Is it at present value? So what we're going to go through and do there in terms of our journal, we will be debiting the investment and crediting our deferred consideration. And that deferred consideration will sit there. Is it as a liability? Okay. A liability on the group statement of financial position. Again, the debit to the investment will get eliminated on consolidation, but would then be appearing in working 3 as part of the fair value of the consideration. But you would need to consolidate that deferred consideration as well. So what have we got? Okay. You're probably panicking because you're thinking, oh, present value, that involves discounting. The examiner wouldn't challenge you too much upon it. Okay. So it wants us to go through here and work out the cost of the investment. So that's the debit to the investment that would then appear in working 3 on the 1st of January 20x5. Okay. So what have we got? Well, it says Pony acquired 80%. So Pony's the parent. It has control at 80%. Of the 30 million $1 equity shares of Star on the 1st of January X5. So January X5 is the acquisition date. Oh, here we are. The consideration was through the offer of a share exchange. So there's a share exchange within this question and a cash payment of $1 per share payable on the 31st of December 20X5. That there is in 1 year's time, isn't it? So when we're looking there of $1 per share acquired, we will need to discount that back to present value. So what we need to go through and do there is that if we're looking at the fair value of consideration, we need to go through there and look at the fair value of the shares and of the deferred cash payments, okay, or the deferred consideration. So what we're going to go through and do is we've worked the shares not so long ago, haven't we? So let's just go through there and do our standard working or standard process. So remember, number 1 is to look at the number of S shares acquired. 2 is to look at the number of P shares issued. And then 3 is we need to value those P shares, isn't it? Again, remember, we're valuing the P shares at P's share price. So what have we got? Well, we bought 80% of the 30 million. So the number of S shares acquired is 80% multiplied by 30 million. So is that there as 24 million? Okay. We then need to look at the number of P shares issued. So the offer of a share exchange of 2 issued for every 3 acquired. So what we have here is it's a 2 for 3. So we take 24 divided by 3 multiplied by 2. 3 and 24 is 8. 2 8 is 16. Just double check. Don't want to do it wrong, do we? 24 divided by 3 times by 2. There we go. A moment of self-doubt. Okay. We then value the P shares. So what are we told? Well, it says the value of Pony's equity shares was $2 at the 1st of January X5. So P shares there are $2. So it's 16 million multiplied by $2. So that is $32 million, which is then the fair value of the consideration, isn't it? Okay. So here, in terms of my fair value of consideration, let's just work in round thousands. We have there, is it the 32 million? Okay. Again, if you want, you can just show that we've done a little working there. Okay. Excellent. Is everybody happy with that? Hopefully you are, and that's good. If you are, because it means you practice the questions like we said to do. Okay. The challenge now is to go through there and work out this deferred consideration. So to recognise the deferred consideration, we have to record it at the present value. And it says that there is a payment of $1 per share payable in 1 year's time. Okay. So it's $1 per share effectively that we've acquired. Now, we've acquired 24 million S shares. So in terms of the deferred cash, it's the 24 million multiplied by the dollar, but we need to discount that to present value, don't we? And it says the present value of that $1 is there at 91 cents based upon a discount rate of 10%. So assuming that 10% is the rate that we require, we multiply that there by the 0.91. So that gives me there, is it 21,840. And when you total that up, it should give you, is it 53,840. There we go. To that, you would then add on the non-controlling interest. You would then deduct the net asset at acquisition, and away you go. Okay. So that sort of shows now how things begin to get a little bit more challenging with regards to this deferred consideration. Okay. Yeah, you need to work out the present value, but as well as there being some deferred consideration, there's also a share for share exchange. And as these things start to merge together, you get a right old melting pot of disaster, and it can become quite challenging. So it's important that you can split out the bits and pieces, and identify the separate steps. So that's why I think it's really important that you can follow the steps for share exchange, because if you can do that, it then helps with other aspects of the question, doesn't it? You know, we used the number of S shares acquired to work out that deferred cash payment. Okay. So what we've gone through and done effectively, I know it doesn't ask you to within the question, but here what we will have done is that we debit the investment with the 21840 and we credit the deferred consideration at the 21840. Okay. There we go. That credit, remember, will appear on the group SFP. However, that will be the figure that is recorded on acquisition at the 1st of January 20x5. What then happens when we get to the 31st of December 20x5? Well, what's going to happen there is that over the course of the next 1 year, we need to unwind that consideration up to its final or its terminal value. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to take, and if I remember rightly, the 21840, we need to grow that up to, 24 million over the next year. Okay. How do we grow it? Well, we use the interest rate that was originally applied. So is that there at 10%? So what we're going to have to go through and do there is apply 10% to that value. So 10%, if we add that on, is that 21840. Okay. 21840 times by 10%, 2184. If you add them together with a little bit of rounding, so 21840 plus 2184 gives me 24024. Okay. So just a little bit of rounding. Okay. So you need to increase the liability. So you're going to credit the liability with the 2184. Just be careful you do not adjust the fair value of the consideration. That's recorded at present value on acquisition. You are now dealing with an interest cost. So you debit the finance cost, is it there, with the 2184. Okay. So that debit to the finance cost goes within the group statement of profit or loss. It would also therefore then impact your group retained earnings. So the 2184 would go to working 5, your group retained earnings, and then the credit to deferred consideration liability. It's a mouthful, isn't it? That will go there to the group SFP. Okay. So just note, you do not adjust the fair value of the consideration. So you debit the finance cost, credit your deferred consideration liability. Okay, and all I've done is I've applied that 10% to this figure here and then added that 10% on to that present value. That will go through there and take us from our present value to our final value. I won't call it FV because you'll start thinking fair value. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I think that's great. To go through there and practice really gets you involved, shows how challenging it can become. You've then got there your contingent consideration. So here you record your contingent consideration at fair value. Okay, so you'll be given information within the question as to what that fair value is going to be. So it's contingent on maybe you meeting a target profit within the subsidiary. It's there to incentivize the managers of the subsidiary to increase the profits, and therefore there will be more payment to S's original shareholders. Okay, so that fair value will go through there and take account of the probability of the payment being made. So if you're expecting to pay 10 million and profits need to rise by 10%, and there's a 50% chance of them rising by 10%, and you would take 50% of that 10 million. Okay, so you need to incorporate that probability there. I haven't seen it that much in F7 or here as we move into the world of financial reporting. I've seen it more in the old P2 and in strategic business reporting. Okay, but once you've got that contingent consideration at fair value, you just go through there and debit the investment and credit your contingent consideration. Again, another form of liability. Any changes in fair value are then processed through profit or loss. So that contingent consideration can go up, it can go down. We do not change the fair value of the consideration. We just move that change in fair value through profit or loss. Okay, there we go. So it's quite a bit to go through there and absorb in terms of all the different forms of consideration, but as always, practice makes perfect.